in the Wyfold Challenge Cup between Vesta Rowing Club and Lea Rowing Club.
So it was the Lea Rowing Club who had a problem with their boat, I believe, earlier on today when they went up to race at their original time, and the crews had to get themselves back down the course and get psyched again, ready for a race a few hours later, which is in itself a challenge. And here we see the Vesta crew just struggling with the steering, heading straight over towards Lea, but nope, they've corrected themselves, getting themselves back on track here in the fury of that early start.
Yeah, Lea currently with a 3/4 length lead over Vesta, who've corrected, but they're coming towards the booms. All connection with the booms there with their oars. They are in all sorts at the moment, Vesta Rowing Club. They just need to get their composure back, get the steering back. I'm not sure who's got the steering foot. Normally in these uncoxed boats, it would sit with the stroke seat. Really tricky conditions today. And we can hear that Vesta is being called by the umpire to correct their steering. And we move further down the course, and there's still all sorts happening with the steering from both crews. Lea probably a little bit close to the centre, and we can see Vesta correcting and going back onto their station.
So here now, you can see this Lea crew, which contains 3 of last year's finalists in this event. They're going to have a point to prove. They had a lot of really close races last year, you know, 3/4 of a length wins. They should know how to get themselves down here safely, and at the moment it looks like they've given themselves quite a lot of leeway from those Berkshire side booms. But the winner of this race potentially going on to race Thames in the next round, and if that's Lea, then this is going to be, in the next round, a rerun of last year's final. Thames were the winners last year, so that could be an interesting race to look out for if it is Lea that progresses, which looks like will be the case at the moment.
You can see Vesta still digging in. Both crews very close to the centre here, so they're going to have to be careful. Lea Rowing Club there on screen. We can see the stroke man, Marlo De Peza Purpose. Behind him, Ryan Cheel, Jamie Palmer in too, and Harrison Skinner up in the bow seat.
Vesta again just creeping over back towards the Lea crew. Interesting decisions to be made for the umpires now, because you say, well, if they're far enough behind, do you need to warn them? Do you let them just take their own responsibility at that point for the race if it's not going to cause a clash? If the safety of both boats is okay, then can you just leave them? Then the problem comes is if they start to move back through, how do you manage that? But at the moment, actually, it looks like both crews pretty central, I would say, in terms of the positions they've picked. But Lea just looking like they've got a straighter line on it now, and looking to actually be keeping the rate up still pretty high, all things considered. I suppose the danger in a coxless 4 is that you don't want to have an incident, hit the booms, and then actually the crew behind has come back through you and you haven't left yourself enough to come back. So maybe they're just trying to give themselves the best possible lead. Maybe they're just trying to really lay down a marker before they meet last year's winners, Thames, tomorrow.
Yeah, coming up past Upper Thames now. It is Lea Rowing Club with the lead. They've really, I think, found their composure down the track. There was a lot of steering issues from both crews, but they're now finding their groove, finding their rhythm, getting more settled, and I think as a result starting to open up that lead here over Vesta Rowing Club. The crew from Vesta there on screen. It's the 3rd ranked Vesta men's crew entered into Henley this year. So the ranking as athletes is 13 to 16 from the squad.
I think this Lea crew is one to watch through the regatta. Like we said earlier, they've got that experience, but also their results actually from races earlier on in the season do put them up there. You know, they were within a couple seconds of Taurus and Thames, who should be the other sort of big ones to watch in this event. So a good start for them. And now the question is, like we say, do you relax a little bit? Do you save something for tomorrow, or do you make sure you put in a marker and get that experience of racing the full track all the way down, you know, from start to finish?
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like they had a few nerves to get the better of in the early stage of the race, but looking very composed there now, although it's a bit deceptive seeing the blades there of Vesta. Both crews look like they've come together again on the course. Vesta would want to move out of the puddles of Lea. There's nothing sort of that feels worse than rowing in the wash or the puddles of a crew in front of you. So if they want to make the most and give themselves the best chance, they need to move back onto their station into clean water and make sure that they have a good run at the last few hundred metres of this race.
And in fact, Vesta are probably in the worst position you can be at the moment, which is actually looks like the bows of their boat, so the centre of their hull is passing right over the puddles. So they're going to really feel that. Even in rough conditions, it's surprising how much you can feel that. You can feel just that the boat's not running straight. You can feel that it just seems to get picked up and swept up in a funny way. And it's not a feeling you want, also because it usually means that if they are that far ahead to be allowed to be putting their puddles there, then you know that you're not in a great position either.
Coming down to the line here, it is Lea Rowing Club after a very interesting race here. Vesta desperately trying to get themselves back on terms. They're back into their own lane, but they're not going to have enough time. It will be Lea Rowing Club that will cross the line in this delayed race in the Wyfold Challenge Cup as Vesta Rowing Club come across the line. And we've had a great first session of racing here on the Tuesday.